And welcome. It is time for Outlawed Live, 7 p.m. Central every Tuesday night. Of course, last couple of weeks, I've been absent. Mike, you took over a couple of weeks ago when I was on the road. What happened?
Well, we hung out with Dustin and Doug Ritter. And I tell you what, we had a great interview with the Ritter boys 2 weeks ago where they came in very confident. And they said, you know what, we're big believers in our setup. We've learned a lot about the new bullet under the hood. And they were poised. And they didn't want to come right out and say that they were going to go to Louisville and take it by the reins. But you could pick up on the vibe they were given. And man, oh man, that story unfolded very nicely as congratulations to them, picking up a second place overall finish. And we also spoke with Colby Lane, who not only was ecstatic to just be participating in Louisville, but also unveiled it with some new good-looking sheet metal on the side of it and kind of a new paint job. And so we're very proud of him as a rookie, one of two rookies that we had pulling out there. So we had a really good show 2 weeks ago. And then last week we were both traveling on the road. Hey, man, it was Louisville and lots of stories unfolding, Ron. Have you settled in, or are you still riding that Louisville high?
Settled in, back to work as normal, working on the schedule, working on the souvenir program and sponsorships and things like that. So, yeah, just another day at the office here last couple of days. But, I actually checked in and listened to the show. It was a good show, and those guys kept you busy with all those guests that we had lined up that Tuesday night. And, of course, last Tuesday, we both were on the road. We're unable to get that one in. But, Louisville 2025 National Farm Machinery Show in the books. As you said, Mike, Outlaws did pretty good. Didn't get any wins, but like you were talking about, the Ritter boys came in second overall. Did us proud. Who knows what would have happened, if our points champ, wouldn't have had to rehook, if they wouldn't have reweighted the sled. That's a couple of years in a row. Outlaws let us off. And
I was going to say, I don't know how to tackle this subject. And really, there's probably nothing there to be tackled. It is what it is. But 2 years in a row, we've come out like a cannon out of a gun. And I will say that that truck was on a pass. That Thornton truck was on a pass. He got out of the throttle the exact same way that Joe Claypool did the year before, just screaming, had a hold of the track. Made the right decision. We were all talking about it where we were watching from, and we said, hey, bring it right back. And he did. He didn't let the class come after him. But boy, oh boy, that big red sled didn't want to be fooled twice, and they loaded it for bear the second time around. The wagon got heavy in a hurry.
Yeah, I don't know if I would say exactly like they got out of the throttle exactly like Claypool did the year before.
True.
Claypool had he had a wheelie going on when he got out of the throttle.
He was out of the throttle and grabbing brakes and getting bumped. He had a little side bump come up from the sled too. But, yeah, just one of those deals. And our 4-1 guys, I thought, had a great showing. Another one of those where track position and hook position came into play. I think if Lane and David hook a little bit later in their class, that track looked like it kind of got better and better. So it'd be interesting to see. But, hey, that's pulling, man.
Yeah, that was it was cool to see the 2 4-1s get into the finals there. The 2-wheel drives, Corliss and the High Cotton team out of McAdoo, Texas, and then Richard Morris all gave it a go and come up short. We did have the 2 4-1s in the finals there, but all in all, a good showing by the Outlaws this year, and luck just wasn't in the cards for everybody.
So we got to give a shout out to the resilience, and we can't overlook Vern Huser, who kind of came out number one, pulled the first draw, on Wednesday night in his modified, and just gritted it out through a field that came chasing him, battled some fuel tank issues, left the show, went and got it fixed, came back, and Saturday night mods are tough, and another one that he qualified and made us proud, and he jumped through all the hurdles and didn't let that setback get in his way with that wounded fuel box.
Never seemed to get a hold of the track like some of the others did there on Saturday night. Right out of the gate, Ricky Rose, he just literally hammered down and sidestepped the clutch, and that thing just hooked up.
Sure.
He had a good pass. Huser, I think, tried the same thing, and he just didn't walk into the track. And they did more than just get their fuel tank fixed there. They took it to, from what I was told, Engler's shop in Indiana.
Yeah, took it to Tim Engler, yeah.
And changed planetaries too, changed the gearing and to come back for the finals. But didn't pay off for him. Of course, Cotton Candy didn't get there in the finals either. So, but it was good to see some Outlaw vehicles make it into the finals and give them a run for their money out there.
Yep, always is strong showing, and a strong showing from our whole Outlaw family and Outlaw fans. Didn't just see our plethora of drivers, but droves and droves of competitors who didn't make it in or whose class might not have been there. I walked into Broadbent, and at any given point in time, it felt like it was the middle of summer. We were bumping into drivers. So we say it all the time. It's the Outlaw family, and that holds true as tons and tons of them showed up to support people in their own class, competitors, friends. It was a good experience from an Outlaw perspective.
Parade Alley Lounger checking in as usual here on Tuesday night. Well, all my controls are like delayed.
Are you freezing?
Yeah. Campground party is here. Hopefully you got a heater in there. Mm-hmm. Chris Pierce says hello from frigid South Dakota. I bet it's cold up there. Parade Alley Lounger, best celebration. Wow. This thing is just jumping all over the place. Best celebration toast I've ever seen, with Jason losing his T-shirt at National Farmer. Depends on who you ask, I guess.
I was gonna say, and it also might depend on perspective and your camera angle, and So, but we were there was excitement. There was excitement with the Beer Money squad, no doubt about it. So.
Chase taking the win there. He had a beautiful pass too on Saturday night.
That thing is figured out. They've got that thing figured out.
Cole Lundahl checking in from Wakefield, Nebraska. One of our super fans, Terry Finney, checking in from Greenup, Illinois. I'm not far from Greenup, Kentucky, where I'm at. I'm in Southern Ohio. Marty Samuelson, the de facto mayor of Ravenna, Nebraska. Ravenna, 0, right on the line. 0 degrees right now with around 6 to 8 inches of snow. Yeah, big snowstorm coming through the Midwest right now. Kevin Davis says, hey, guys. Kevin, stay warm out there. Here you go. We got a watcher from Iraq checking in, Mike. Very cool.
Very diplomatic, very international show. We're here to please.
Right. We'll go tractor pulling anywhere, guys.
Yep.
Brandon Gillen checking out. I bet it's not 0 in Texas where he's at. He's down in South Texas, literally right across the border, Uvalde. So Ben Beller from Howard, Kansas checking in. Says had a great time at the show Wednesday and Thursday. And all right, our Iraqi, our international.
Yep. Are you gonna put it up? I'm looking at it too, and I was thinking, oh, Ron, is Ron gonna throw it up there or not? He's getting very friendly all of a sudden. So no, Ben Beller, great to meet you in person. That was really neat. I bumped into Ben in Broadbent Arena, so one of our faithful watchers and big fans. So glad we got a chance to meet up.
Brandon Gillen says it's 64 down in Uvalde, Texas. Chris Pierce says it's -10 this morning.
Oh yeah,
where he's at. Tina Berger checking in, super fan from Wilbur, Nebraska.
Perfect.
So we've got a pretty special show. Last couple of years,
oh yeah,
kind of becoming a tradition now. After the Farm Machinery Show, we bring in the announcers. We bring in Dan Mayer and Miles Krieger, and pick their brains a little bit. See what happened. Sure. See what we missed from behind the scenes, and get their observations and what they think. How they thought the show went this year. So your observations, Mike, what did you think of the 2025 National Farm Machinery Show?
Well, the storyline that really stood out to me was the internationals in the pro stock division.
Yeah.
Red is not dead. And I started paying attention to that. And I kind of said, this is the developing story. In a class that has typically been dominated by John Deere Green with those big 680 pro stocks, 12 of them go to the finals on Saturday night. They were dead even with International and John Deere at 5 apiece. Now, there for a while, the IHs, they were almost a novelty item. And then the final two snuck in were a pair of V8 Massey's. So a dead red split all the way across. IH goes 1 and 2 in the finals, picks up their first win, their first National Farm Machinery Show finals win since 2009. Tim Kaine finished second, grabbed his first podium appearance since 2001. So just watching the red pro stocks was just a fun story. Now, does that mean that the Deers are a thing of the past? No. I'm going to say no way, Jose. But the red ones and the Chaos Fabrication and, your Rhett Parishes and your Reese Sheltons out there, tough running. They're making a statement. That was one thing that I picked up on.
Mike, you're going to get yourself in trouble calling the red team a novelty item here, man. You got to be careful.
In the pro stock class, no. Don't hear what I'm. But it felt like, you know what I'm saying. All you fans out there was a while when you look down at the starting line and you would see 22 8300R, no graphic John Deeres, big block Deeres, and you'd see 1 or 2 Internationals down there, and it was just known that was their class, and the IHs had the super stock side.
Yeah,
red put on, we're going good old red versus green pulling. So a fun story right there. That was what I saw. Ron, what were some of your narratives or highlights from the show?
I love seeing it sold out. They're on Saturday night.
Yeah.
I love to see that arena sold out. We got kind of a surprise on Friday. The new head of the Department of Agriculture stopped in to talk to the crowd, got everybody pumped up. That was pretty cool.
When have we seen the Secret Service? When was the last time? When was the last time you, Ron Stone, got to see the Secret Service up close and personal? So
never. That's never happened before. So Zuck Fukerberg checking in. That just gives you an idea of how expansive the size of the state of Texas is. It's 64 down in Uvalde. It's 18 up in North Texas in Lindsay. So quite the difference from the north side of Texas to the south side of Texas. So I'm pretty excited about the show tonight. We always have fun on this show. You get 3 or 4 announcers together. Were you on the show last year when we did this, Mike?
I was not. Nope, okay. I was not. This is going to be the first time that I've done a live podcast with Dan and Miles. I know we got together there a couple of months ago and spoke with Dave. And like you said, you get a couple of announcers on here, and this is liable to, really be rocking and rolling. So you get them together. It's going to be a good time. Looking forward to just listening. What's it like from behind the podium, right down on the track? So, which, by the way, Ron, yeah, I got to stand on the track.
I saw that. I saw that. Very cool.
Didn't come home in the dirt clod. I wanted some dirt. I wanted some of that Louisville dirt, but I respectfully didn't touch anything. I put my hands in my pockets while I was down there.
You don't want to spend the night in jail in Louisville for stealing dirt.
I don't want to. I'm not. Hey, it's historic dirt. I am not going to be the one. But I tell you what, it would look pretty cool on a shelf right back there underneath that Outlaw banner. Little chunk of Louisville dirt back there. But I wasn't going to get tossed my first time on the track.
Cole Lundahl with a good point. Another surprise was Blue winning the 4-1 class.
Sure.
New Holland getting the win there. The Rhapsody tractor out of Illinois taking the win there after a rehook. I jokingly said, that's not fair. He got to go down the track twice. Yeah. Well, you know what? That's how it works. But he had a really good hook, and it was cool to see New Holland in the winner's circle there.
Yeah, I think it was 2023. We actually saw, it was, I believe, a light pro stock out of Canada that was in the Ford camp pick up a win for the Blue team as well. So, the color variety, it makes for a fun narrative. The fans get behind that. But yeah, Cole's spot on. That was a pretty path, I remember right, from that tractor. Yeah, so it looks like the guys are out of makeup here. All right. Even though that Krieger guy looks like he could use a little more. So we're going to bring on our guests, National Farm Machinery Show announcers, Miles Krieger. And Dan must not have been done with makeup. He had to jump up and run, get a touch up real quick. Miles, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. How are the pipes?
Oh, they're fine. I think I can't speak for Dan entirely. I think I'd be out of line to do that, but I will say that I think the tiles made a significant difference and how hard it was for our voices and how much we were actually having to try to speak over the top of noise or rattle or reverberation or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Like, I just felt like it was a lot more natural, our speaking voices. And, usually by Saturday night, halfway through the evening, we're kind of in the tank, and I didn't feel like that at all. So
actually, you got a little wound up there Saturday. I saw you were like trying to get the crowd revved up there, Miles.
Well, it's one of those deals. In previous years, we've tried to have to set on it, and make sure we control ourselves just a little bit. So Saturday night I was trying to be ready to go.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. Trisha Ritter checking in. Really proud of the Outlaw competitors that were in Louisville. Put on a great, respectful show. Yes, they did. Dan Mayer, how you doing, buddy?
We're doing all right.
How are the pipes for you, my friend? Better
Sunday we didn't say a whole lot.
Yeah,
kind of just got resting, and but we're good now. We're almost back on track here. So it was one of the, I'd have to say, probably this farm show here was, I think, narrative wise, I think and crowd wise, I mean, just it was awesome. I mean, really, looking back on everything, it was like, wow, everything kind of worked out well. And like you said, Miles, with the new tiles, you didn't have to overwork your voice, and awesome. We actually had enough in the tank to do the wave on Saturday night, which was usually usually that's a chore, but it worked out this year. So
yeah, all that stuff, you guys are so busy, and there's some stress involved there, and you guys are busy, but yeah, I mean, when it's over, you kind of have to reflect and say, yeah, that was pretty cool, right? I mean, you literally have to go through each session in your mind afterwards. The ceiling tiles, the ones that did remain in place, good thing those are lightweight tiles, guys. A few of the tractors shook those loose. But Dan, your biggest takeaway from what sticks out in your mind about the 2025 National Farm Machinery Show?
Well, I mean, there's quite a few things actually, but the biggest obviously is the red tractors. That was that has to be the biggest story of this year's farm show. Is just they came to play this year, and they showed it. It was impressive, very impressive. We talk about all the qualifiers, 3 out of 4, and then of course with the finals, it just everybody had said what were you thinking, and were they going to do it? And I back of my mind, I'm like, you know what, I think this might be the year. And but we've seen so much green dominance over the years. It was like, well, I can think it, but is it going to happen?
Sure.
So, but it was awesome. It was that has to be the number one story, I'd say.
Dylan Dirks checking in. Miles, do you guys have access to how many people actually applied? And Dylan's asking in the 4-wheel drive class specifically how many applications there were.
I had Dano on that.
Yeah, I had conversation with Mike about it. I want to say he said there was low 20s. It was low 20s that applied for he said the biggest thing with the 4-wheel drives is everybody kind of knows that you're going, your champions are going to be in. And so if you're on the outside, you're, top 5 of points or outside of that, you really don't have a shot of getting in. So I think that's what kind of keeps the numbers kind of low. But he's, but all your, if you're up there in the, the points or what have you, and, that's, but I want to say it was right around 20, low 20s. I thought he said applied. So,
yeah, we were lucky enough, the Outlaws, to have three of our top trucks in there, and we had a good showing, I would say, in 2025. Chris Pierce, there it is. I don't know why my computer is running so slow, so bear with me here. How many organizations were represented this year? Do you guys know how many different organizations there were represented?
Miles and I, we've talked about this one. Like, there's organizations you didn't even know existed that were that were in there. So it was like, so it's news to me. What about you, Miles? I never counted them.
I started counting them. I'll tell you, I guess it depends on how you draw it up, because, like, for instance, NTPA Region 2, Region 3, Region 4, Region 6, Region 5 are those different organizations. They're different points races. They bring different champions. So, if you count those as 5, or you get across there for where you guys are potentially, or like Pro Pulling League, you could potentially have, 4 through them with Midwest Region, Western Series, Silver Series, and the Champions Tour. You could have 9 just between the 2 larger organizations, maybe even 10. And that hasn't started to count a single state or, any kind of other organization. So I know that in my counts and my thoughts, there were over 50 represented.
Sure.
And that's, but that's we're going with, Texas tractor pullers and Ontario tractor pullers and multiple from New York and Pennsylvania. And, you think about the one that I did not know, that I called Dan. I'm like, have you ever heard of this? And he was like, I was just about to talk to you about the Spring River Valley Tractor Pullers Association, which had some hooks in Missouri, had a champion there. And Excalibur, mid Missouri, there's an overabundance of folks. And if you think about United Pullers of the Carolinas, United Pullers of Iowa, United Pullers of Minnesota, the Badger State and WTPA, ITPA, Hoosier State, IPL. I mean, we can keep going, and they're insane. I
mean, Pullers Incorporated, Wisconsin. Now I'm gonna shoot this back at Mike. Now, Mike, how many organizations you got out there in Missouri? Do they out there? How do they?
You almost have to move east to west. You've got Emo, Eastern Missouri. You've got Twin States, which is a very small one that's going to be Iowa, Missouri in the northern half. Excalibur would be one of the larger state organizations that comes to my mind. Missouri State Tractor Pullers Association. It's kind of central and southwest that co-ops with the Outlaws quite a bit. You throw a rock and you're going to land on a sled somewhere around here, and you start, figuring all that out. I know Jason actually called me on the way home and he said, I want you to break down the stats. He said, figure out the average finishing place for each association. And after about one page of going through, I realized this is not a quick 45-minute task. This is, you're going to have to give me a bit. We're going to make some spreadsheets before we get back with this one.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot in Missouri. The Spring River.
There were a couple others like Pi.
Go ahead, Miles.
Wasn't that Dan when there won Pi, P-I?
Yeah, that was the Pullers Incorporated. Okay. I think Pullers Incorporated of Wisconsin or something like that.
And then Tri-State up there, and ECIP. Like I'm scared to even do it, but I started writing them out, and I'm confident there's 50 or close.
Sure.
If you count the region and that sort of deal like that, but just a lot of, and I think that's one of the storylines, though, to think about what, if you asked me that question, you guys had already been talking about Barkers, and so for them to come win, but ITPA had a points champion, right there in the finals to win that deal. And there were other champions, for instance, Caroline coming up with the Dixie Ram in the Superstock Diesel class.
Sure.
I don't think anybody necessarily would have circled her. And I didn't look at the full pull bets lines to tell you, but that young lady could not have been the favorite. And she just came and laid down an absolutely beautiful pass when it was her turn. And okay, come get it. And nobody did, so you start circling all these folks that had a pass like that, and the kind of not what I would call, lower level, because that's not fair, but state level winners. Right. It was certainly time for Al Cook to get his win in the light pro class, and he did, and you keep digging. Another one of my highlights, I would say there were probably a few guys that have just been heroes, or guys that are always around. Tim Kane, Josh Martin. Those were pretty neat stories, watching Josh make his pass and sit there in the corner and hold on. I mean, he was second hook and he held on to make it to the finals. And I don't know that he thought he was going to make the finals, but he made a beautiful pass and just held on. And that's kind of how it was, seeing Lisa Tatum come back and hit the finals again. That was a pretty neat story, but so too was Barb Cochran in her debut, and John Hunt in his debut. There were several rookies that showed up and showed out too. So
yeah, and a lot of those and those newbies there, a lot of those guys are just happy to make it. They get in there and they are super sure they want to come back, and sure they want to have a good showing, but just to be there and perform well, most of those guys are happy. You know what I mean? It's like nobody's upset because they didn't win at the Farm Machinery Show. They're happy because they got to perform. They got the nod,
Sure.
So, Mike, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step.
No, you're fine. I'm just springboarding on what all of you gentlemen are saying, and kind of where the mix of that would be like a Neil Gettinger, not in the lessons learned tractor, but in a tractor that a lot of people, weren't accustomed to seeing him in, or maybe he wasn't familiar with, and watching that tractor make its way into the finals on Saturday night too. I think that's one that folks are gonna kind of chew on a little bit. And then Strickland picking up a win as well, kind of a nice little renaissance for him in that super stock class. So some fun things, seeing some new iron or some iron with some different people, some veteran drivers get back over there in the corner. A lot of great narratives that, keep folks talking on the drive home for a long time.
Yeah. How about Friday night? Steve Clem?
Yes. On the Swan song
20 years in between wins, that's pretty cool. That's
if you look at the results,
that truck is gone, right?
What's that?
That truck that was his last ride in that truck, wasn't it? That truck is moving on to somewhere else, is what I had heard in the pits, that was his final hurrah on the Radical, that he's going to go super modified 4-wheel drive truck pulling. So that was his swan song, is what I had gathered. So
yeah, I mean, they've got the other truck, but I don't know. I didn't hear anything about them moving on from that, but if they did, it'd be
that is a tough truck.
Swan song. Yeah.
Cole Lundahl says he felt this was the year of the option pull. Several guys had good luck after dropping that first hook and coming back, or after a sled reset. I think one that comes to mind is the 4-1 class, I guess, in the finals with the Rhapsody tractor. Who else dropped or had a sled reset and come back and did well or won?
There wasn't very many sled resets. I mean, Vaughn was on, as usual, Vaughn was on his game. I mean, I want to say there couldn't have been more than 2, maybe 3 at the most.
Yeah.
I don't
for vehicles that turn pulls down, Dean Halicki turned a pull down and came back.
Right.
I think Coots turned a pull down and came back. Did he not?
He turned one down,
both
limited pro qualifiers.
Yeah, and Barker.
Yeah,
Barker did and came back. The one that I will tell you, the one that was a reset that was really kind of a bummer was the very first class of the entire weekend, and that would have been with the backdraft Chevy, because he made a beast of a pass. And if you look at the results right now, Farm Show never got that change. They still have Ryan leading, and he won by like 30 feet.
Yeah,
when actually,
he's probably screenshotted that. So
I would have too. 244 feet or something like that's what it lists still to this day. And he, Clem actually ended up winning at 216. But and he had to make that choice. So they reset the wagon on him, and then he came right back. And I don't know. I didn't ask him. I don't know if if hindsight's 2020, if he may have liked to have watched one more and watched Ritters make their shot, or maybe his family member that came down right after that, or who to truly say, okay, like I probably could have waited 3 trucks or a dozen or whatever before he came back.
Who knows?
Historically, early may help there in that 4-wheel drive class, which I don't think that was the case. Most of those classes, and I had people ask me, like, what'd they do different to this track? Like numbers really didn't seem to play that big of a role. I mean,
I agree. Yeah, I think we talked about, early in the week, it seemed like it was right about the middle of each class. And then towards the end of the week, it just it went early, late. It didn't really matter.
Yeah.
It just was all over the place. But going back to with the options, I think with the Barkers in their qualifier, Jason had told me, he says, I came here to win. I came to put this thing in the sand. And, they reset, after, but he still came out. He put it in the sand. And then Dean had told me in the finals on Saturday night, he's like, this run isn't going to be good enough to get me into the top 3. I'm turning this down, and we're going for it. He says, I usually first run, if I make a pass like this, he says, usually I'll keep it. But he said, this is championship tractor pull. We're going for it. And, it worked out for him. Yeah. So, I mean, they really, they usually don't do that, but you can see how big a pull this is that, hey, we're going to give it everything we got.
Halicki's a beast. That tractor, he's a machine. he comes and hooks with us every once in a while, and he usually leaves with a win.
Sure.
When he comes and sees us during the summer, but pretty good guy, good family, and he got a really good machine. But Miles, your biggest takeaway from the show this year, 6 months down the road or 10 years down the road, what's going to stick in your mind that's going to make you remember this 2025 National Farm Machinery Show?
Yeah, I mean, I think Dan hit the nail on the head with one. I mean, obviously, Reese Shelton's win, and there were several layers to Reese's win. I mean, obviously his grandmother passed away. Stan was not present. He had flown back home, but for Camille and Grayson and the team to do so in the way that they did, and obviously I'm it's no secret I'm very close with Colin Ross. I think it's proven that those guys at Chaos are figuring things out. They had quite a few tractors there, and they're starting to really do things. So between Reese and Rhett both being in that final, I think Massey Ferguson's and having two Massey Ferguson tractors in the Pro Stock final. I mean, not to take anything away from anybody, but Travis Coons had an absolutely just rad pass in the prelim, and he didn't come back in the pull off. But the Pro Stock class, you think there's been lots of discussion, like, should they really bring 48? Do they need to have 4 sessions? I will tell you that I felt like this year, the Pro Stock class proved that there are enough for us to have some really awesome sessions with 4 different sessions in that deal. So, I guess, and you think about Simons and their continued dominance. I mean, Brandon made just 2 passes. I didn't think anybody was going to go back by Ricky Rose, and he did. In the finals there, and just a lot of really awesome runs. Michael White's pass in the 2-wheel drive class with the addiction truck on Friday night was pretty awesome. Chase's run to come back and win that deal, pretty special moment for him and his family, being bluegrass folks on Saturday night as well. So there are a lot. Jeff Hurt had an absolutely awesome pass on Friday night, and I honestly think that had he had about another 2 seconds worth of life in that tractor, he was going to win that thing again too. But you sometimes you got to flip some switches and turn some wicks to get where you want, and he didn't quite get there. But his pass on Friday night might have been one of the very best passes I've seen his tractor make in a really long time. So Louisville's special. It's special to all of us, and we all get to go and have great memories. And it's not just special because I get to announce for the first 38 years of my being a fan, I got to go and sit and watch that pull, and it's still just as special to me now as it was then.
Yeah, Hurt I put a picture on Facebook, social media earlier, I think today or maybe yesterday, and showed he had a little carnage in the engine that kept him from making that full pass. But the mod tractors on Saturday night, awesome finish, like you said, Ricky Rose. Man, he hammered it from the line, and it just hooked, and he went right up that right side, which seemed to be the way to go there in that mod class on Saturday. Huser went left, never quite hooked up, and he got the old Louisville left hook. But Simon that thing is a beast, and made a heck of a pass. But the celebration, I was in the full pull live suite for Chase's win. That was pretty cool. They were pretty excited. The family was up there.
Yeah, and one year we have to put a camera on everybody in the corner, because it is excruciating how everybody copes with being in that corner. It's some of the tractor guys will actually go up and sit in their tractors and just kind of zone out, and the 2-wheelers, you really can't do that. So it's just kind of, you just watch them fidget around all the, back and forth. And some of them will wear a groove right in the floor there, it's unbelievable how the pressure, and one thing I did notice, and Miles, you probably noticed it too, in the winner's circle, like this year, I mean, you really got to see the emotion of these pullers, you know what I mean? As far as, a lot of them started getting glossy-eyed, and it's like how much this means, you know, and in years past, you didn't really, I mean, you had a couple, but I mean, this year it seemed like it was just really noticeable, and it's just how hard everybody works to get here. And then to get there, it's awesome. It's just really cool to look back on that and go, to win there and you get in the winner's circle. It's just, lifelong goals and dreams for a lot of these pullers, and it's really cool.
Yeah, to that point, Chase on Saturday night,
sure.
I think it was funny. The surprise, you could tell he was surprised that he was getting teary-eyed. He's like, in his mind, he's thinking, what's going on here? I can't believe it. He kept wiping his eyes, but yeah, that was awesome.
I got to give, all of the pullers did a fantastic job, and I appreciate their performances and their preparation. And, I don't feel like we had a lot of breakage and carnage per se that took and delayed the show. But, I think for Mike Witt, the committee, the guys that were involved, and all the pullers, this might have been the most challenging weather week I've experienced there. Because don't get me wrong, we've seen some snow and we've seen some brutal cold, but I don't think we've dealt with 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 inches of rain, flooding, and snow. And, we kind of experienced the gamut of challenges, for what they would experience. There were folks throwing, tractor guys throwing garbage sacks over their roll cages when they rolled out so that they could keep their heads dry as they rolled over from Broadbent to Freedom Hall. But at the end of the day, no complaints, no issues, no concerns. Strap in, pull them tight, put your helmet on, and let's go.
I was really surprised. I thought for sure Saturday night with all the rain and all them pullers bringing that rain in, and some of the pullers we'd actually talked about that,
Right.
How that starting line didn't get all, muckied up and, but hats off. When they say the track crew, they do an awesome job, and, the committee, they do, everything. It's just a well-oiled machine. And it's just amazing to watch it all work together, and like I say, the track this year, just excellent. It just all the way from top to bottom. They say they've, a lot of times you get the early, the Wednesday hook. It seems pretty, it gets pretty wet here this year. Actually last couple of years, it's been really good on Wednesday night, and the pullers have been talking about that. So, it's kind of threw a wrench into the pullers that run on Wednesday nights, that it's been so good here the last couple of years on the first night of the pull.
Yeah, I have a question for. Go ahead, Ron.
No, Mike, go ahead. You've been pretty quiet.
Just as announcers, you guys are probably more in tune and in sync with the crowd than anybody out there. You get a good feel and a good energy with them. And I'm curious, from right where you guys were experiencing the crowd all weekend long, what pass or what couple of passes do you feel that the crowd, if they could choose like their favorite of the weekend, where did you notice the crowds just blowing the roof off that thing when certain vehicles went down there? Are there any single passes that stand out in your mind that they reacted to, extravagantly?
Well, I'm going to say, Reese's runs, Tim Kane's run. Those were really the ones that stand out. Always when the Masterson tractors run.
Daryl's Wednesday night run.
Yep, it doesn't matter, what. But if you watch that crowd, I mean, like you watch the Tinker Toy run, and then you watch the River Rat run, like in their qualifier. After they run, half the place empties out. So it's like they're there for that, for those runs, and But yeah, I'd have to say those were the standout ones here for the weekend.
Yeah, you could hear the crowd how much they like. Those families that have been in pulling for such a long time as well, like families that like the Masters. So you can hear the crowd when they come out, make a lot of noise for them and cheer for them after they make
when Wayne Sullivan gets introduced. I always feel like there's a big applause right there in Kentucky that he's one that they get behind. Miles, what were some of the passes that you felt brought the fans to their feet, more so than others?
Yeah, no, there were a few. I mean, obviously, I think Dan's hit the nail on the head with anytime Kevin and Don's tractors are running, that makes a huge difference. I think Carlton's run, Rhett's run on Friday night, for Rhett, that was a pretty big into the sand pile sort of message. Peter Norton's tractor came and hit the sand pile there as well. Simon's run in the mod class, Caroline's run in the diesel pickup class. There were a few highlight ones that you'd start to think about from that, and they all draw. Everybody's got their own kind of things they're cheering for, if it's their variety or whether or not it's orange tractor or the one gentleman standing in his orange jumpsuit flipping and twisting when Braden comes to the line, or
Strickland comes to the line or whoever it be. So I think we're lucky in the sense that we get to kind of witness that. And I will think, I don't know for sure. I haven't seen numbers by any means at all, but I know just in my heart watching Friday night, Saturday afternoon, and Saturday night were about as full as we could get them. Thursday night seemed to be a really large crowd to me, and I think Wednesday was a great crowd as well. So I have to believe, statistically, when you start to study, we had some of the best nights of attendance, even with rain, torrential downpour, snow, and all the threats that we had weather-wise. People came.
Everything in between, thunderstorms and rain on Saturday night, and wake up to a couple inches of snow on the ground and floodwaters everywhere in Kentucky. And saying that, prayers for families in Kentucky. So far, that 14 people lost their lives in the flooding in Kentucky here the last few days. Dean Holicky has a stat here for you guys. All three of the 4-1 tractors in the top 3 Saturday night pulled 3 times.
That's right.
This past week.
So Coots had the option and turned it down, came back. Rhapsody option, turned it down and came back, and then Dean did so in the finals.
Right.
And so all 3 of them went 1, 2, 3 in the finals. So that's a true statement and really true there in terms of, but that's a perfect example of the fact that you know your equipment, and whether or not you did everything you hoped you did. And at Louisville, it has to come back and try it. Gary Spink tried that same thing in the Super Farm, and he came back and did better and made the final as well. So I think, sadly enough, and I hope that that's a great trend. You love the idea of it. Use your option and come back and do better. But we've also seen it bite a lot of people on the bottom too. So
Mick Broughton said missed all you guys, girls this year. Modified 4-wheel drive puller, awesome Dodge pickup. Bodie Yacht, I think this is going to you, Mike. Great interview with Reese Shelton last night.
Yeah, I appreciate that. He was very gracious to join us on Let's Grow Pulling and just talk about everything. We had a lot of fun chatting with Reese.
He had a lot of people rooting for him Saturday night, too. I'll tell you
Definitely.
that it's a well-liked family in pulling. Desiree Paulson, mother of Lane Paulson, says, you guys do an awesome job announcing at the Farm Machinery Show.
Thank you.
Super fan
story right there.
What's that?
Yeah.
Hey, Lane was his daddy was way more teary-eyed and emotional than Lane was. For Lane to have been there in his rookie season and do what he did, and I think you said that Trish had posted that the Outlaws really showed out. But think about that. I mean, you guys had some significant successes across the board in terms of your organizational power coming in, and while maybe not have as many numbers. My goodness, they showed out when they came. Mr. Novak and Lane in the limited pro, were 2 of your finalists. So,
that the Mean Farmer team, they really, from the first time that they went there to now, it's just impressive to see how much we've taken them steps, and now he's right there amongst the top finalists there. That's really impressive.
I don't know what the population is in Howells, Nebraska, but I got to believe a good.
They were there.
Yeah.
They were all there. Yeah.
Were you able to coax? We couldn't always hear from the suite we were watching in there with the Richardson family in the full pull booth. But Dan, I saw you speaking with Lane. Now, Lane's kind of notorious for being tight-lipped and kind of cool as a cucumber, even at 17 years old. Were you able to, get some words and emotion out of him down there in the corner?
Not a lot. Not a lot. But he, you could tell. I mean, it was, even that run there, he was, they're all nervous. It's just like I say, that is one place that you're down in there, and I mean, even your Terry Blackburns, it's like, it's got to be nerve-wracking. I mean, like you say, we should do an inside report on in the corner or something, because it's just how everybody deals with it so differently. And I forgot to mention too, I mean, we talked about young Cody Chiswick there on Saturday afternoon, with winning that light super stock class. And what do we figure, the 26th victory for Team Chiswick there at the farm shows? I mean, that is Mike's got 1 win as an owner driving his pro stock, and 25 as an owner for all those other tractors is just, I don't think that's ever going to be beat. I mean, that is just impressive.
You got to think about that Saturday night crowd too. Like you guys, I have some photos that I got to take because I was kind of expecting it, but you could hear a pin drop in that corner when Tim Kaine hit the sand. What with Reese and Colin, Kevin Campbell, all of the Shelton team standing there, and they were all just kind of waiting and holding their breath. And for him to be 2 7/8 inches,
yeah.
I mean, folks, we're talking like, I could usually tell you, no, he didn't get there. And I looked at him and like, I don't know about that one. He might have got you, Colin. I don't know, buddy. And that was so for Tim to come and make the pass that he did, and obviously for the Red Tractors to go 1-2 in the corner the way they were, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's an awesome storyline for it. The Red Wave came over Louisville this past weekend, and that's going to be talked about all year. But you got to love those close finishes. You love it when you got to get the calculator out and figure just how close it really was, and those.
And over the years, how many different pro stock finals have we had where one tractor will come out like hook number 3, and then everybody else just falls short, and it's kind of like, nah, they're really. But I mean, this year had it all. I mean, we right up to the last track, up to Cart and Cope, the last tractor in the class, and had the crowd on, ready. You didn't know, and you can't ask for anything better than that. That was great.
Speaking of Carlton Zuck-Fukerberg talking about the V8 Massies, I love hearing those V8s go down the track. They do sound pretty awesome in that pro stock class.
The big comment on Facebook today was, how come we didn't see the cherry red exhaust headers out there, on the exhaust manifold? They said we're so used to seeing those red, and they didn't get quite as red as people were accustomed. And I guess, improved airflow or something. But the fans wanted to see the red, and I did notice that from where we were. He kept them cool this year.
That would be just the opposite, Mike. It'd be more a fuel flow if they weren't red. The lean condition is what would make them.
I do know that the Coons tractor did have a new set of heads on it. That's right. They were that's why they didn't come back for the pull off, because they didn't obviously want to burn it up on the first night that they ran them, but basically wanted to take it back and make sure everything was all right on it. But like Miles had talked about earlier, the run that tractor. I mean, we saw this past summer had some nice runs, almost picked up a win or two, but here this weekend, it really showing that, that both Massies really are, are right back in the mix again. And that's pretty awesome.
Getting some more comments here. We got a lot of watchers tonight. You guys are bringing out all the Pullen fans here. Wes Sievers. Not sure you guys can answer this question. Wes pulls a light mod with us, with the Outlaws. He actually has a DT 466 motor. It's actually a limited pro 4.1 motor on his light mod, but he's asking what are the chances of getting light mods into Louisville. It's a pretty tough question.
I'll give you that answer. Whatever you decide.
That is one of the most asked questions I think Dan and I probably receive over the course of the summer and in these fall months is hey, can you do so-and-so? Can you talk to so-and-so? Hey, can you get me into Louisville? Hey, can you help me with this? Dan and I are contracted folks just like, pullers are contracted essentially to come in. That's an agreement they get into. He and I are agreed upon to come to that pull, and I don't have the ability to get anybody in. If I did, I don't want that ability to get anybody in, because then I'd have way more friends than I'm ready to have, I think. It's one of those things. I don't want to diss any class, because there are some classes out there that I believe probably warrant it. But who am I to say yes or no? I think I think the light pro class continues to prove on Saturday afternoon just how amazing they can put a show on. And I also think I was a huge fan of the year that they put 2 light super classes in there, and we had a qualifier for light super. I was on board for that, because I thought, let's bring 24 of those guys in. You think about the ones that weren't with us this weekend, and there were some really good iron not here with us. Now, did they apply? I don't know. We have no idea about that either. We don't get those applications of rejection either. We just get, here's the list, and we get to study off of that. So I love that idea of different classes and variety. I've often pondered in my mind if maybe that's what Saturday ought to be. And each year, maybe we ought to rotate some classes in and out Saturdays. Like this year we're going to do this one, next year we're going to do that one, to give folks that chance. But I also think Vaughn proves he knows what he's got with his settings, and that allows us to have a pretty speedy show. And when you bring some new things in and you make those changes, the flow of what we have in terms of the end product will be different.
So guys, I told you we'd probably keep you on till about 7:45. Can you stay till 8?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. All right. Cause this is the portion of the show. Last year we kind of ended. So. Miles, you good to go till 8?
We'll be fine.
All right.
Perfect.
Last year we did a little trivia at the end of the show. So I thought we'd expand that a little bit. To both.
Dan, you better get ready.
We'll have a little bit of, I tried not to make any of them too hard, but I did want to kind of challenge you guys a little bit. Dan, of course, runs Pulling Reference, the Know All Tell All of Pulling on Facebook. And I figured we'd have a little Puller Jeopardy. Mike, you're in charge of keeping score. All right. So Mike pulled up some pictures. I pulled up some pictures. So you got to get the puller and the driver. And we'll start with Dan. So I'm going to put the first picture up here. So here we go.
That looks like Bruce Hutcherson.
And the tractor is called
Making Bacon Special.
5 points for Dan. 5 points for Dan.
Cha-ching!
All right, Miles, you ready?
Oh, we'll give it a try.
Here we go.
I knew the first one. Oh, gosh.
If we could zoom in on that, you might see it a little better.
Yeah, but I probably can't because I'm using my phone.
Oh, you're using your phone. Oh, God.
Yeah, I'm not on a computer. I'm on my phone. Dano, you can steal my 5 points.
We'll tell you it's a very patriotic tractor. How about that from the 70s?
Yeah, I know the name of that tractor. I can't identify the driver.
All right, Dan, you want to steal?
Dennis Wilson.
And the tractor is
the Little
American tractor. I remember that. I just could not come up with Dennis Wilson.
Could be Ron
I was born in 80, so you already got me beat.
After hearing those responses, I will interject and say I feel less confident in my ability to stump the people we have with us here. I need to go back into my vintage pulling photo collection. So I don't know that I'm going to stump them.
All right, Miles. No worries. We're gonna make it a little more difficult for Dan.
Yeah.
We're gonna challenge.
He's the encyclopedia. I don't claim to be that guy.
We are going to challenge.
You're going to challenge me tonight, huh?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
All right. Let's see. Let's go with this one.
Oh, that's from Ohio there.
Yeah, correct.
Yes, Wild Times team.
Yeah.
Yes, I know that one. They run Fords now.
Yep.
Is that Jeru?
Oh,
yes.
Miles stole. Miles with the steal.
Sorry.
Miles with it.
Yeah.
I'm chalking
Kevin Drew, right? Kevin
Drew.
Yep.
Good job, Miles. Good job. Now it goes. Miles is in control here. What's the score?
We got Dan at 10, Miles at 5.
Miles at 5. All right.
I scored.
Yeah, I'm on the board.
Yeah.
All right. Let's here's one for Miles here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna is that Sullivan?
It is.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Sullivan and Kentucky in there.
There we go. Miles gets 5 points.
Ding ding.
We're tied up. We're tied up here.
Thank God for the front clip there, the hood.
The Massey Harris grill. World's fastest Massey Harris.
We got to get you a bigger phone. We get you a tablet or something, Miles, so you see these.
Well, yeah, I didn't do a very good job of prepping here. I put my kid to jumped on my phone immediately.
Back to Dan. Here we go. Trucks.
Oh, Joe Gilbert.
I knew that one.
Motown.
All right. Now, Daily Double. I'm sorry I don't have the sound effects, but Daily Double, what was the truck called before it was the Motown Missile?
Whiskey Bet and Hellbound.
Yes, it was. There it is. Good job, Dan. Dan gets 10 for that. That was the daily double.
And what was the triple double? What was their other truck later on?
Oh,
yeah. You turned it back to the host.
Oh.
Old Glory.
Old Glory.
Old Glory.
I remember that.
You don't get extra credit, Dan.
Oh, okay.
Fishing for extra credit here. It's not going to work. So, all right, back to Miles. What's the score?
You got 105, Dano.
20 to 10. 20 to 10.
Oh,
hey, that's Petro's. I know that truck. That's Randy there.
Who is it? Randy Petro, the Buckeye hauler, and daily double, Miles. Name one of the other two trucks that they pulled in the 80s. Name the other four-wheel drive truck they pulled in the 80s. How about that?
Oh, God. I don't know if I can.
It was a four-wheel drive Ford.
Yeah.
Think music. Think Smoky Mountain Rain.
My roots. That goes back to my roots of him coming to Greenville, but I don't remember the name of that truck. I would have been about 3 years old.
Smoky Mountain Rain. There's a stranger in my house.
And Magic.
Yeah.
Huh.
Millsap Magic was what it was called.
Yeah. I was going to say, Ronnie Millsap's the song you're singing. I know those.
All right, back to Dan here. Back to Dan. We're gonna stump Dan with this one. Here we go.
Nope.
Contraption on there. That Virgil Krantz.
Very good, Dan. Very good. Contraption. All right.
He had a bunch of goofy, didn't he? Like an Allison or
I just remember him running Fords. He was a Ford guy, you know.
Okay.
And, Krantz's contraption. We're going to take it easy on Miles, Dan, because he's using his phone and he doesn't have his readers on. So
that's
here's a
hey, I know that one too. That's a Sullivan truck right there.
Yep, Eddie Sullivan.
That is the Sullivan truck right there. The undeniable Chevy S10s that came out of the state of Kentucky.
That's right. That's right. So where are we at, Mike? What's the score?
Well, 25 to 20 with Miles grabbing that one. He's got a Dan's down to just a 1-question lead right now.
Ooh.
And I was looking in my desk here, and if it comes down to it, I do have a physical copy that we can pull out.
We're gonna need that. We're gonna need
timestamp 1985. I did a whole YouTube video on this one, so if we have to, we'll go to the physical one there.
All right, so we're back to Dan here. Let's go with this one.
Oh, come on. That looks like a Blagrave tractor to me.
Okay. Yeah, can you go a little bit deeper?
No, because they both had the same. At one time they both had the same tractors. Gosh. Well, it's a 50-50. I'm going to go with Stan.
Can we get nope? I just want the name of the tractor. I don't driver. I'll give you Steve or Stan. The name tractor.
Well, they had Red Thunder and they had Red.
There you go. Ding ding.
So red. This one's Red Thunder.
Okay.
This is Red Thunder.
They used to have some side shields in the trailer, didn't they, Dano, of that tractor?
Well, early on they didn't. They both looked exactly like this.
Yeah,
and the only way you could tell them apart was with their NTPA numbers on the front there.
Yep.
Jeez.
This one's Red Thunder.
All right.
Pre-paint job.
All right, Miles. Let's keep it tight here. All right. We're gonna trying to give you the big pictures because you're on your phone here. So let's go with this one. Let's go back to the trucks.
Oh Lord.
Now they used to say this along with the Orange Blossom Special. They don't know which one, but one of them was the first literal pulling four-wheel drive in the country.
And
the first ever U.S. Hot Rod champion.
Yeah. I remember seeing that truck. I don't know if I can tell you the name of them. I'll let you go, Dano.
Dan, you want to steal?
That's Carl Bidwell's Chevy National.
Yeah.
Which I think they said had the most runs ever or something as a 4-wheel drive before he retired it. I think it was like it had ridiculous amount of runs on it. Yeah. Yeah.
So have you missed one yet, you butthole?
Sure I have. Yeah, you stole Giroux from me. There you go.
Yeah, you did. You did.
The wild times, right?
Yep. All right, back to you, Miles. Here we go.
Oh, Mr. Collins.
Yep, J.R. Collins.
J.R. Collins, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
that was
little bit of trivia on this trivia. Do you know why it used to be called the Killer?
Yep.
And you know why they changed the name?
Do not.
They Mac made them change the name.
Really?
Yep, because they didn't want to be associated with a killer, just
a little insensitive.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why see it right there on the bumper.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Yep. Used to be called the Killer, and then, like you say, then it went to the the Bulldog, but yeah, it used to. They didn't like the name of it.
All right, we're gonna challenge Dan again here. All right, Dan.
Impressive picture archive here, Ron. I'm impressed.
Hey, I know that one.
Okay, so now this can go a couple different directions here. I'm going to have to say that's probably Eldon Towns.
On what tractor?
The Sassy Massey.
Sassy Massey?
Yeah.
I'm not sure the driver here, where I pulled this picture, they thought it was Merle Grimm driving.
That's who I thought it was.
Well, that's where I said it could go either way.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if Merle Grimm had a non-turbine that he had before that, or
maybe so.
All right, 5 points for both. 5 points for both.
Which one was that Bowling Green, Dano?
Ron, go back up to the top and let's go double down on the Massey Harris. Go all the way back up towards those ones at the top. Throw that Massey Harris on there. I'm curious if they'll.
The one they have in the museum at Bowling Green is the turbine.
That's the Grimm's turbine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I couldn't remember.
Where's your you talking about a picture you put in there, Mike?
There we go.
Oh, there it is. Got it. Now this is we're back to Miles here.
I think you got me on this one too.
This one's going to be very much my neck of the woods.
Yep, Show Me State.
It's called First Blood, is that right?
Yep, First Blood's the name of the tractor.
Dano, do you know that tractor?
Connor Brothers?
Brian and Ernie Connor.
Yeah.
Yep.
Holy cow.
Yep, this was their first super stock, as I'm led to understand.
So that was a steal for Dan.
Yep.
Which is interesting because I've never seen I've heard that their first tractor was First Blood, but never saw a picture of it because it was never, But yeah, that's pretty cool picture. Was that your picture, Mike?
Yep, that one's mine. Kirksville, Missouri, 1985, 86, somewhere in that neighborhood.
All right, Miles, let's see. I'm going to give you a good one here. I have so many pictures in here. I downloaded probably way too many.
My father had a bunch. We had like 105 pictures that my dad had taken through the 80s that we digitized all recently. Oh, there's a fun one. I know that one.
All right, Miles.
Bergman.
Milt Bergman.
Rambunctious.
Rambunctious. There we go.
Out of Fort Recovery, Ohio, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Which, Dano, when did they bring that back out? It hadn't been that long.
Yeah, it was a few years back. Dwayne had brought it out.
Right.
I want to say up through the ATPA days, I thought. And then
I remember seeing it back out there for a while, but it's not been nearly as long as it appeared in my mind. But
that would have been the next iteration of Rambunctious too, right? Because this This was the older one, and he built another one that he put 2 Allisons on, and
the new and improved, right?
Yeah, new and improved.
And then they moved this one here. They moved the seat back to where it normally was, and then Dwayne took over that one.
Yep, I think maybe he did that when he started indoor pulling. What do you think, Dan? It seemed like when he switched indoors.
he ran this one indoors.
Did he?
Okay. Yeah, I want to say this. He ran up front there through. I want to say 87 was the last year he did that.
All right, Dan, back to you.
Yeah, this looks like I'd have to say that's the green's got to be Don Harness.
Yep, the tractor.
Loudmouth Lime.
Yep, very good.
That would have been mine.
Yeah, that's got to be.
All right, how about this one, Miles? You got to get this one.
Oh.
Ran pretty unique power plants for pulling. He ran Donovan engines.
Yep. Yeah, I remember that tractor.
Stick for a while.
I definitely remember that tractor, the Outcast tractor, but I am having a major brain issue with who the heck drove that thing.
Yep. He got the. Can we give him the 5 points? He got the tractor.
I remember the tractor like it was. Dan can tell you the name of it, I'm sure, or the driver.
Yep.
Wheeler Rittinger.
Yeah.
See, I remember him coming with the 2-wheel drive that had the rear engine in it.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that, Dan? Brown truck?
No.
There's some early Wheeler Rittinger right there.
I'll have to have my brother remind me on that one.
Because actually, Craig Sage, his dad had built the whole. They were doing like kind of an anniversary type of thing, and they were trying to put together what year they actually built that tractor for the components for Wheeler for that.
Yeah.
And during the winter here, he kind of reached out and wondered what year that was, but yeah, that was a unique piece there that they built for Wheeler.
Yeah, I talked to. I tried to find that tractor several years ago and reached out, and it was not long after Wheeler had passed. I didn't realize he had passed. And spoke to his wife, and he said the tractor got sold, went up northern Ohio, was pulling with some Great Lakes group up there or something, and have never heard anything of where it went since then, but pretty cool old tractor. What's our score, Mike?
50-40.
All right, this is the bonus round, so 25 points.
Woo!
When are these?
You're kind of like Drew Carey, Ron. I feel like the points are just kind of getting, we're rolling as we're going.
All right, Dan.
Big Ollie tractor, yes.
Big
TNT
Ollie
tractor.
And the driver?
Donnie B.
All right. Give Dan 25 points.
He'd pull with 3 naturally aspirated engines against the 2 blown engines. Seen that tractor indoors, like had to be the first or second pull I ever went to up in Niagara Falls at the convention center. They would pull 5,800-pound class.
Miles, I'm going to pull a good one on you here.
See, we're just
I know you've seen this tractor.
7 years outside of my era. I need to come back a little bit deeper to late 80s, early 90s.
I'm going to take you into the 80s.
I've got a bunch of early 90s ones I thought about throwing in here.
I'll take you to the 80s. I was going to go back to the 70s or early 80s, but let's go mid to late 80s.
Yeah, I look like I was born in the 60s, but I wasn't born in the 60s. I was born in the 80s. Man, I sure remember that truck from the TNT days.
Yep.
Had a pair of them.
Yeah. See, you need Jeremy Krieger on there with me. He could be my phone a friend.
Your phone a friend.
Yeah. He could be my phone a friend to help me with some of these because he's older than me. Danny, take my other. Dan will take my other 25 points.
Win.
Lloyd Hauser from North Carolina.
Yep.
I would have told you Hauser, but I wasn't going to get Lloyd.
What was it? Pumpkin Center, North Carolina, something like that, I think.
I've been to Pumpkin Center, North Carolina.
Yeah. Awesome. Guys, you guys have been great on here. This has been cool.
That's fun stuff.
I just want to get some of the comments here. Got a lot of fans watching tonight.
They're all like, man, Miles doesn't know his elbow from his tush, does he?
Yeah, but it's amazing though. Just 5 years, I mean, it's like early. It'd
make a big difference. I was 4 and 5 and 3 years old in some of those.
Sure.
Speaking of North Carolina, Jeremy Tyndall checking in from North Carolina. Zip Fukerberg, JPPL and Outlaw for Saturday. Jeremy Tyndall again. Dan is a walking pulling encyclopedia.
I agree with that.
Mark Ulmer's going to help you with something, Mike. I'm not sure. That's probably been a while back. We're behind on these, but
well, if he's got vintage pulling photos, that's been our new.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so we should probably do something because I have got thousands and thousands of early Illinois tractor pullers that I have no idea who they are, that I have scanned, and it's interesting that.
Well, you're my go-to. That I'll message you out of the blue from time to time since I've started this, task where I've been getting all Dad's pictures digitized, and if we can't figure out who the heck it is, and you're my first call, and I know you've helped us on the show a lot of times and come in and said, oh, that's so and so, or if we mislabel one, you help us out. So yeah, we might have to launch a joint endeavor there, Dan, and get all of them labeled. That'd be great.
Yeah, that's because there's some that I'm buffaloed. I have no idea who they are, and there's a lot of
Yeah, I think I got you with a really old one from like 1973 or something last year.
Oh, I'm sure you did. Yeah, that's
was an early Dan Patrick
before my time. Yeah, before.
Robert Davison, any talk of a 5.0 Pro Stock class in Louisville down the road? Have you guys heard any rumblings of that?
Nothing that I've heard. No, like you say, that
Case Conover, one of our super fans watching from Lytle, Texas. Cameron Neves knew the answer to that question.
Yeah, Cameron, good friends with Stan and Steve Blagrave, or out there, McAdoo and Ackerley, not terribly far from each other. They're both out there in the Texas Tech area of things. So yeah, he was spot on with the Red Thunder pre-painted days.
Look here. You guys both have fans out there. Jeremy Tyndall here a minute ago said Dan is the man, and then on down here, Andrew Sloan says Miles is the man. So
appreciate
Team Dan, Team Miles.
So
and hey, Dan,
we'll have to team up. We'll have to team up against.
It wasn't that long that like somebody asked on there where that truck was now, but.
Minnesota,
didn't JR's family have that truck at one point still? Weren't they still running it?
And I thought it went up to Minnesota.
Okay.
I thought gentleman had.
Seems like I've seen it on social media.
I thought I saw it at it was at like Hutchison or something like that. Somebody up Minnesota way I thought had bought it, but somebody will remember. Give it time.
Andrew Sloan that's on there is a sheep breeder, Ron. So I get to share a love of pulling with Andrew at BG, and then he also raises some killer sheep that I get to try to watch in the rings.
Very cool. Well, guys, I kept you way over. Sorry we don't have any prize money, Dan, for you winning Pulling Jeopardy tonight. But
Ron, you're going to owe me lunch somewhere where we go together.
Right. Perfect.
All right, that's perfect. Guys, thank you so much.
I'll buy your dinner.
No, we gotta have Ron buy me dinner because it was his game. So
I'll buy you both dinner. It's just Dan gets a steak. You got.
Hey, I lost. The loser always has to buy, right?
Guys, Dan Mayer, Miles Krieger, announcers, National Farm Machinery Show. Great job this year, guys. Thanks so much for coming on the show. Appreciate it. Man. Appreciate it.
Thanks for what you guys do.
Yep, thank you guys.
You guys be safe, and we'll see you out there on the pulling tracks pretty soon. It'll be here before you know it, guys.
Absolutely. And,
have a good night.
Hope to work with you guys somewhere, right? Somewhere down the road, right?
Looking forward to
it. Can't wait, folks. It was a great time.
Peace. Thanks, guys.
We'll see you.
Awesome show. I told you it was going to go quick with those guys.
Yeah.
You have 4 announcers on here, and it goes by pretty fast. So I had so many pictures left, but we just didn't have time to do any more. But
well, that's one of those where we would almost just, when the stars align and we have a slow off season time, get the four of us together again and, grab a Charles Poche and Will Mans or something like that and do a trivia, a vintage, trivia show. I think that could have some potential. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Pulling Jeopardy. What is Big Ollie?
So just for general curiosity, Outlaw fans, the final question on this one, it was going to be, who is it? Who did he buy it from? And then who did he lend it to?
Wait a minute. Let me bring it up here. This. Did you have this one in here?
I did not. I can throw it in there really quick. Okay. I did a YouTube video. No, this is actually my final one with Gerald Grimes on Hobby Horse. Similar tractor, but that was Gerald Grimes with Just Another Buck. He used to drive the Varmint, and he calls that one Hobby Horse. But the one I was my bonus pick that I just found sitting in the top of my desk was Roby Watson out of Texas on the Mean Green, purchased from LD Nation, lent out to Doug Roberts of Missouri, finally driven by Dave Yarick. And I actually spoke to Roby's grandson on the phone, and he started chuckling. He says, yeah, I guess technically we never sold the tractor. It's probably sitting up there in Missouri somewhere. You ought to go take a picture of it and send it to us. So that was a fun one that we tracked down at one point. So, yeah, I like looking backwards and pulling. It's neat stuff.
Oh, yeah, very cool, very cool. I had so many more pictures on here. We just ran out of time. So, but that was cool. I think that's fun, and I'm glad the guys were good sports and played along. It's cool to see how much stuff that Dan remembers, all over the country, these pullers and these old pictures and stuff. So very cool.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how he does it. I don't think he can be stumped. I just don't believe that it can be done.
Yeah. So. I used to be able to remember the stuff a lot better when I was younger. I could tell you any puller, any driver, any puller that had been in Full Pull Mag or Pulling Power magazine or the puller, it was just right there. Boom. I knew it. But,
yep.
That was a lot of years ago, and I'm taking Nariva now to try to get some of that back so I can remember some of that stuff. So we'll see if that stuff helps. So big thanks to Dan Mayer and Miles Krieger, great announcers at the National Farm Machinery Show. One of the best ever this year.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's next year. Looking forward to next year already. It's going to be awesome. So
can't wait.
Mike, any closing comments from you, buddy?
Just, congratulations to all our outlaw truck and tractor pullers that represented us so well at the National Farm Machinery Show. Some didn't finish the way they wanted to. Some, finish right up there in the winner's circle. It's just an honor and a pleasure to be there every single year, living the dream, watching all this stuff happen. Folks at home, like everyone on here said, it was one of the best National Farm Machinery shows that we've had. And, just pulling is fun. Bodiat, any pics of Lloyd McVeigh's modified from the 70s on the Super Banana? I should give Bodiat a shout out as well. He's been a big contributor to my vintage pulling collection, and he has sent me some. The Super Banana. Now, is that the one that's underneath Bowling Green in the museum as well? I think that's.
Yeah, it's kind of a squared off.
Yeah, looks like a drag car almost, and it's like turbocharged and supercharged or something really wacky on it,
Yeah, I don't have any pictures of it, but yeah, I've definitely seen that tractor. Ben Beller says the favorite thing he's seen all week was George Neves sitting quietly by the cotton candy. High Cotton was nice to see him. They're just watching. Yeah, because the year before, last year, George spent the week in the hospital.
Yes, Louisville. He did.
So,
yep.
Glad that he's all better now. Brandon Jack. That's the only problem when you have so much going on. You don't know when these comments come in.
Yep.
Not sure who he's talking about. Maybe Wheeler Rittinger, maybe. I bet that's who he's talking about. Pulled at the Indy Super Pull in '84. Jeremy says he has a few old North Carolina pulling photos. Heck yeah, Jeremy.
Yep. I will. Yep. I will reach out to you, or you can always just reach out to the Beer Money Pulling Team Facebook page or the Outlaw Truck and Tractor Pulling Facebook page, or I will get in contact with you. Yeah, the vintage pulling photos has become a passion project that's really snowballing and growing. So yeah, we'll make arrangements. I appreciate the comment, and I appreciate you volunteering those to us.
And we can get those to Dan Mayer too, and he can archive those with pulling reference.
Yep.
So I mean, he's the pulling historian out there. He's the one that's we're counting on to archive.
Well, and the lock, stock, and barrel of it too. It's he is kind of the guy who's launched that endeavor of, like you said, archiving all this. So yeah, it's get him to Dan, and you'll get him taken care of in there.
Yep. So the show's run long tonight. I apologize. We still have a lot of people watching, but still haven't really reported on Satsuma, Florida. Had a great pull in Satsuma.
True.
Thanks to all the Limited Pro diesel pickups that came down. Thanks to all the 5.0 Pro stocks that came down. We had an awesome show. All the pullers put on a heck of a show down there. Chuck Holsworth from Illinois came down. That tractor is a freaking monster. The Gunslinger from Kentucky won the 3.0 diesel pickups on Friday night. And the Farm Truck from Texas, Xander Lee, won on Saturday night. Of course, Chase had an awesome pass on the mini rod on Saturday, but lots of local classes come out of Georgia, some Florida pullers. We had big mods down there, had 3 big mods down there. It was a great track, best track in Florida. I fully believe that. The promoter, Mark Kelsey, brought in a ton of Georgia clay down there to that old racetrack and made it into a pulling track. They do have sand drags and things like that, but no more racing. It's all pulling and straight line sports there. So motorsports, but had an awesome time there. It was great weather and an awesome pull on a great track. Good people, good pullers. Had a good time. So next week, Mike, I want to focus on Young Guns. We're going to talk Young Guns next week.
Wonderful. Yep. One of the best programs the Outlaws has, and some of the best drivers in the country, if we just put it point blank. So yeah, I'd love to, always love seeing what the young guns are up to. The next generation of pulling is always the most important generation in pulling.
Yep. So we'll go ahead and sign off for tonight. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks Dan and Miles for joining us. And Mike, thank you. And we'll see y'all next Tuesday at 7 Central for more Outlawed Live.
Wow. Check. Make sure Chuck's all right there. They're going to check Chuck out. Catastrophic engine damage. I think the top part of the motor. I believe he probably split the block in half right there. 234.53. Folks, give Chuck a round of applause. They said he's just fine, but the only thing hurting is his pocketbook right now. That is going to be an expensive fix. Are you ready here tonight?
All right, here we go, fans. The truck out of Georgia, the bumper crop. And Cole Altman, once again, that mark to beat, 340.42.
two-time points champion just a few years back, Craig Ulmer, Sweet Pain.
And 86 right now, 345 and 86. Here we go with the Kentuckian. And here we go. They're underway. Cheer them on. Let's go. The big chicken, he's in the lead. They're coming. 300 feet. Here we go.
Hey, guys, Robin's racing. Robin's racing. Just saying.
Oh, the big chicken. He's got him. Oh. Oh, no. Oh. Right side kind of hurt him there. He was fighting that white line all the way down. Here tonight, going to spot that sled here a little bit left of center. They've been kind of working this spot. And I would imagine try to drive it up, just like we saw Mr. Holsworth as he got an unbelievable hole shot. He got that sled moving really quick. That's what it's going to take. So that chicken down there, he's getting a little bit, he's getting wound up.
He's getting a little cocky, I think. Yeah. Pun intended there. Getting a little cocky. That chicken is talking about racing. The other chicken, Kurt Van Beek, the owner of the Outlaws. I can't believe he's going to do it, but here we go. Cody Yarrick, Rich Hill, Missouri, gone.
Oh, man!
Pulls back on the throttle, coasts the sled past the Schaefer oil barrel.
Man, oh man, fans, let's give a nice round of applause. Your winner, your points champion, everything but the kitchen sink here tonight, Cody Yarrick.
373.78 at 34 miles per hour. The Cody Yarrick had gone. That is what we call a walk-off win, ladies and gentlemen. Last puller in the class wins the thing. Awesome. We'll give you the final rundown here in just a moment.
Current points leader, 2024 points leader, 2022 points champion. This guy won the entire circuit 2 years ago, and he's leading the circuit right now. All this information available on the Outlaw Pulling app. Be sure to check out that Outlaw Pulling app. Holds a listen to this, Sac City. Richard Morris back into the line right now out of Neosho, Missouri. Calls this one Buffalo's Chips. He holds a 2-point lead over Donald Nelson. Donald Nelson hasn't hooked the truck yet that's got that lead, but Donald Nelson is sitting out there in the number one spot. Donald Nelson will be joining us with the Whip It in a little bit. Only 2 points separate Donald and Richard. Current points leader, Buffalo's Chips. Hear you, Sac City! Wow! He had more speed than maybe any vehicle we've seen all night long. He was